Hey, what's up? Welcome to DGenEd. That's degenerative education, meaning none of this is financial advice. Just me having fun looking at charts like the chart behind me, which is of Nvidia, ticker symbol NVDA. And so here I just wanted to go over the chart because we did put in a pretty big bearish engulfing candle closing the week, not only below the previous day's prices, but also moving down on high volume closing the week. Down 5.5% on Friday at a price of $875.28 after hitting an all-time high on the day of $974 exactly. So I do find that pretty interesting. It did also cross a pretty key level on Friday. So I do think it could suggest that a top is in or near for Nvidia as well as semiconductors. And so I do think that it could be a nice time to start shorting semiconductors and or the stock market. And so I just kind of wanted to go over my justification for that, building upon previous videos that I had gone over. And so I am just going to throw up some drawings here that I've shown in previous videos. And one reason why I do think it could be a nice time to short Nvidia or semiconductors is because we do have this gap to the downside at a price of $688.88. So I do think that needs to be filled. It would be nice to come down to that level. Also, actually, I'm going to remove the drawings for 1 second. If we do flip over to the weekly time frame, it does look like we could be putting in a topping signal with this big wick for the course of the past week, closing the week on Friday, March 8th. However, if we do take a measurement of this candle relative to the price action over the course of the week, it did not close in the bottom quarter. So this is technically, from my understanding, not a topping tail, but this is a pretty big topping signal, in my opinion, that could suggest that the top may be in. However, this could be invalidated. And on that note, I do want to point out that we are just below $1,000 a share, or at least were at the high of $974. So I could see price going up just to cross over $1,000 a share, and maybe that would mark the top. As I did think that $2 trillion for the market cap could be serving as a topping signal, crossing that threshold, then the top could be in. Currently, the market cap is at 2.19 trillion. So, did exceed that level that I expected there to be some resistance at. And, it has just powered higher. But it did hit this level, this white line that I've marked here, which I find to be pretty interesting. And so on the weekly time frame, just taking a step back, I did take a Fibonacci retracement from the high that was hit over the course of the week ending November 26th of 2021. Coming down to the low, closing the week on October 14th, 2022. And so from that retracement, the 3618 extension from that is at a price of $968.77. And so that price was hit exactly on Friday, crossing just above it and coming below, closing down, like I said, over 5.5% on the day. So I do find that pretty interesting with this bearish engulfing candle with potential topping signals on the weekly time frame, having hit this level and being just below $1,000 a share. I do think that the top could be near for Nvidia and could potentially already be in, not only for Nvidia, but also semiconductors and potentially the stock market. And so a couple other things that stood out to me. One is General Electric here, ticker symbol GE. This is clearly a topping signal, a topping tail, having closed not only, in the bottom half, but definitely the bottom quarter of this trading for the day on Friday, being down, actually, being up a little less than 1% on the day, having gapped up. But we do see this, topping tail on the day. So I do think this could be suggesting a top. And this is a part of the S&P 500. So I do think it could be reflected there. Also, Costco did have a pretty massive drop on Friday, going down just over 7.5% on the day. This big gap down, I believe, following their earnings. And Costco is a part of the S&P 500. So I do feel like this could be, the beginning of these signals that are suggesting that the top is in. And then if we do look over at the SPX, so the S&P 500 here, we do have this gap to the downside that does correspond with that gap up for Nvidia. And so with the S&P 500, we have been trading in this uptrending wedge for quite some time, going back to, let's see, October of 2023. And we have had recently a couple tests of the bottom of that wedge. And so, with it being red on the day for Friday, March 8th, being down just over 0.5% on the day, this could be the beginning of the breakdown of this wedge. However, we are still trading within it, so this could be a fake out. Even though we do see a bearish engulfing candle here, it's quite possible we could see green next week to test the top of the wedge again, and just building up that pressure before it breaks either to the upside or the downside. And I do feel like it will eventually be breaking to the downside to fill this gap here, these gaps down below. And also, before I do switch over to some shorting positions, I did want to point out the pivot points for the bottom of this wedge are based on the low that was hit on October 27th, as well as the low that was hit on January 17th. So you can see those two circles there. And so that is how I drew that. It could be adjusted a little bit to include, some of these wicks down, some of these candles, but I do feel like those were fake outs. And so we do want to be looking for multiple closes below the bottom of this wedge. And I do think we might be seeing that in the next few weeks, perhaps next month, possibly this coming week. And so on that note, if the market is to start turning down, I did want to go over some ways to short it. And also, I do want to note that this low that was here in the S&P 500 was hit at the end of October. And so that will be key because that is going to mark the highs for a lot of these short positions. And so looking over at the first one is ticker symbol SH. This is not leveraged short the S&P 500. And just taking a measurement really from the closing price on Friday going up to the approximate high that was hit at the end of October, that represents about a 22.5% move to the upside. So there's some nice potential there. Also, if I do look over at the SPXU, this is 3x leverage short the S&P 500. We can look at a measurement from the closing price on Friday at $7.04 going up to the approximate high at the end of October, and that represents about a 92% swing. So I do find that to be pretty interesting. And then if we do look over at the SQQQ, which is 3x leveraged the NASDAQ or QQQ, we can see that from the closing price right around $11 on Friday, going up to the highs hit at the end of October, that represents an over 100% swing, approximately 109 to 110% right there. So I do find that pretty interesting. But if we do look over at ticker symbol SOXS, which is 3x leverage short semiconductors, as you can see, I've done a lot of drawings on this. If we do take a measurement from the closing price on Friday, March 8th, going up to the highs hit at the end of October, we can see that that is not a 100% swing. That is a more than 300% swing, 340%. And so that is because semiconductors and tech has been way overextended as far as the S&P 500 goes. So if there is a correction in the S&P 500, semiconductors and these tech stocks like Nvidia will definitely be feeling that, and that will be reflected in the SOXS. But I should note, because this is leveraged, there's a lot of risk here. And so if it does not go all the way up to these previous highs right around $14, representing a 340% swing, there are some other levels that it might be going to on the upside that I do have highlighted here, like one being this gap fill here at $4.64. Also, this yellow line here at $6.25, where there's this consolidation here. Another level I don't have marked could be the lows over here, which does look like it was resistance over here. That is at a price of right around $5.50. Also moving up $8 right here, corresponding with this consolidation here, might bump into some resistance there. And then finally, $10 with this pivot low here. That does seem like it could be a top. We might find some resistance there on our way up to 14, so something to consider. But I do also want to point out some levels that could suggest either that the bottom is in or that we might be seeing it soon. And so one of those levels is the 2618 extension from this retracement here, going from the low on February 12th up to the high on the 21st. And so that level is at $2.86, which we did close below on Thursday, March 7th, at a price of $2.84, opening below it on Friday, but then putting in a bullish engulfing candle corresponding with that bearish engulfing candle that Nvidia has seen, and putting in a close higher than the previous day's open. And so that is at a price of $3.18. So I am hoping the bottom is in at this level. But if it's not, the next level down that we could be visiting is based on the extension from this retracement. And so that is the 2618 at $2.55.8, or right around $2.56. So I do feel like that could be, the ultimate low if Nvidia is to continue up to $1,000 a share. So I am preparing to dip buy at that level. But if it does not get down that low, and we do seem to be respecting $2.86, forming a bottom here before moving up, I do plan to add more while down here at incremental levels, like at $3 a share, or at the low that was hit on Friday at $2.76 a share. But ultimately, my big dip buying opportunity that I see will be at $2.56, corresponding with this level. And so I am hoping that is the bottom, and that we do see a lot of potential upside for shorting semiconductors here with SOXS. So that is what I am looking forward to, hoping to see price getting back to $14 a share. But if not, I'd be happy with any of these levels to the upside, really with the lowest being right around $4.64, or potentially right around $4. That just being kind of a psychological level, but at current price, that is a lot of upside. So I am looking forward to that, and I am excited about the week to come. I hope you are too. But those are just my thoughts. If you found them helpful, make sure you like the video, share your thoughts in the comments down below, and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. Thanks a lot for watching.